Okay. All right. So thanks to everybody that is watching us live that just participated in the Twitter Ezzy chat. Are you multi-local? Before we get started with today's discussion, we're going to go ahead and introduce the video participants that will be helping us understand and distinguish origin versus location. So go ahead and start with EJ.
Hey everyone, my name's Ijama. My country of origin is Nigeria. I'm in Washington, D.C. right now. I work on health policy in the United States Senate, and I haven't been to one of these chats in a while, so that's why I'm here today.
Yes, and we missed you. Vincent?
Yeah, hi. My name is Vincent Chukwemeka, originally from Nigeria / Cameroon. I joined the chat today mostly because of the topic. It's what was interesting since I equally have like dual local culture. Yeah, so but I'm in the United States and Iowa, Midwest.
Okay, I think someone needs headphones. Just wanted to say that. Little feedback. Okay, Leonie.
Is it me that needs headphones? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Okay. I'm Makia Leonie. I'm Ghanaian German. I live in Berlin, and I'm a student of international relations. I'm doing a master's here in Berlin, and because I'm particularly dissatisfied with it, I'm trying to see my options for going abroad. And I write, and I'd like to give more attention to my writing. That's actually why I'm with Ezibota. No, that's why I'm here in the chat, because I want to get to know Ezibota a little bit more and find out, you know, I fit in here, and is there a place for me?
Let me just say there's 100% a place for you here with Ezibota. Thank you for that. Ivy? Can anybody hear Ivy?
No.
You seem like you're really passionate about what you're saying.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, so Onyinye, but I'm being called Ivy on Ezibota because the last person, the previous group chat we had another Onyinye, so we had to like differentiate between two Onyinye. So I'm Ivy, and I live in Houston, Texas.
Wow.
Yes, capital city of all the Nigerians. Anyways, I'm on today's community chat because I had a wonderful experience the last time, and I feel like it's something I want to do every time I have an opportunity to get to do. So it's good to connect and network with people, you know, of your kind. So yes, that's why I'm on today's community chat.
Thank you. Yeah, we had a lot of fun during the last chat, so I hope we can have as dynamic of a conversation. So just kind of want to introduce the chat by giving a brief description about what we're going to be talking about. And this month we'll be exploring the idea of being multi-local as a possible way to combat stereotypes that arise from claiming to be from one particular place when you may identify with a variety of different cultures. So first off, we're just going to ask, and anyone can kind of take the lead on this. Well, the first question is, how do you reply when people ask you, where are you from? There's actually an interesting scene from Mean Girls, I think, when, I don't know, there's like something about a girl being from Africa and everybody turns to the black girl and she's like, I'm from Detroit. And I know a lot of times it's like, I mean, Leonie lives in Berlin, so it might be different, but people will see my last name and they'll be like, where are you from? And I'm like, Houston. And they're like, no, where are you really from? So I just think that's an interesting question. So if anybody wants to chime in on that, that would be great. So how do you respond to people asking where you're from. All right, go ahead, Vincent.
No, I'm going to be a gentleman and say, let the ladies talk first.
We'll need your permission.
Okay, that's new. Right.
That's new. Wow.
Leonie, go ahead. I think Leonie should go first. I mean, this is her first time, so.
I agree.
It's very gracious of you, Vincent, to let me speak. I'm honored. No. Well, when I'm asked here, where are you from, then it's really more of the question mark at the end of that is really more decorative. What they mean to say is an exclamation mark at the end, because they're not actually interested in anything I have to say concerning the matter. So if I say I'm from Germany, people are, I'm German, I was born here, it's my passport, and so when I say I'm German, then it's not a question, it's not an answer that people are satisfied with. Because what they want to hear is Africa. They're anything except for, and they don't want to hear Ghana. It's also not an interesting answer to the question. The only possible answer I can give is Africa. And it invokes all these ideas that people have in their heads, and they start, their fantasies and dreams. So for me, it's hard to answer the question. Usually I say I'm Ghanaian German.
That's really interesting when you say that Ghana is not an interesting answer to them, that they want to hear Africa. And no, it's true. Whenever people hear specific countries, they're like, what is that?
Yeah.
Like, it's just kind of like a country. So that's interesting. Anybody else?
Can I talk? Okay. I was going to say much of the same thing. Where are you from is usually a person's response to perceived foreignness. So if you look different or something about you is different in a way that folks haven't seen before, they'll ask you, where are you from, right? So in the United States, like, there are people, and I'll speak very specifically, there are people from Nigeria, so my tribe is the Igbo tribe. There are people from my tribe with English first and last names, right? So if you come to America with an English first and last name, then folks will assume, just by meeting you and seeing that you're black, that you're African American, right? But if you come to America and you're black and you have a native name, you have your name in your language, then that would prompt folks who've never seen the Igbo language before to ask you, where are you from? So where are you from is a coded question. They just want to know why you're not like them. not like, they don't want to learn about you. They kind of just want to know why you're not like them. So it's a very coded question.
I can completely relate to what Ijoma is saying, because my name is Onyinyechi. I don't have an English name. My name is just Onyinyechi. I don't go by any English name. So when people ask me my name and I tell them my name, the first thing that comes to mind is, where are you from? And I feel like if I had an English name, that wouldn't have been a question, because I don't have an English name. That's the first thing that comes to people's mind. Where are you from? So
it would, not to interrupt you, it would be a question because you'd still have your accent.
Yeah,
so even if you didn't have, no, it's serious. No, I'm not trying to tell a joke. You have to have something foreign about you. So like, if it's
different. Where are you from?
Yeah, you could, even if you had an English name and you still had the accent, they'd still ask you. Or if you were wearing something they'd never seen before, like, they still ask you.
Yes. Yes.
So basically, it sounds like y'all are saying that they're not genuinely interested in where you're from, but they're just trying to figure out why you're different, or like how you don't fit in.
Different from what they're used to. As long as you talk in a certain way that is different from what they're used to, and you're just different, they ask you where you're from. It's not like they actually care. Yes.
Right.
No, they don't want to
So-
learn about your culture or anything.
It's basically
No.
like, explain to me why you are different than me or like everybody else around. That's interesting.
I think it's even more than that. It's like, where can I send you back to?
Basically, that's what it actually
Wow.
is. That's the question, really. How did you get here? Because then
They
it
want to, like, in the envelope, they want the return address.
Did you come here with
Yes.
come with a bolt?
How
They're
did
trying
you
to
get
return
here?
you. They're trying
Wow.
to return you back. That's
Return
why
to
I'm
sender.
asking.
Just
Yeah,
really quickly,
that's
I
exactly what I'm
just want to introduce Onimye, and please forgive me if I pronounce this wrong. Is it Malele? Malele? Who just joined us. You are both on mute, so
Oh.
I'll just give you a brief chance to introduce yourself. So basically, the question that we asked is, how do you respond when people ask, where are you from? So if you don't mind, by telling us where you're from to introduce yourself, and then answering the question.
Uh, yeah. My name is Malele Jongo. So you were kind of close. I'm from Zambia, and this is really interesting because this just happened to me like 2 weeks ago. I was talking when I speak with my mom. My Zambian accent is really heavy and really noticeable, and I guess I'm a little louder than I think I am. So a lot of people hear me. Huh?
We are all louder than the rest.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was at a hair store, so I was especially enthusiastic. And one of the workers was like, "Where are you from?" And usually when somebody asks me, I think I'm like a little more calm about it, and I am a little less presumptuous about their intentions. But when it's directed towards my parents, because they get that a lot more than I do, I get kind of defensive about it because it's usually kind of like what you guys were saying, like, like, can you confirm my presumptions about you by telling me that you're not from here? Like, so I usually depending on the connotation and just how they approach me. So I'm having a conversation with my mom and you just butt in. You're like, where are you from? Kind of like I owe somebody an explanation, for why I'm sounding the way I am. So that's never really received that well for me, but if we're talking and somebody's genuinely curious, what's the origin of that name, or, you mentioned something about, well, you were in Zambia or something like that. Are you from there? But I'm also trying to challenge myself about being defensive about it because just like the instance with me, my mom and myself, just kind of told me that a lot of people don't really know how to approach people from the diaspora, and they may not know what may be a genuine interest for them comes off to somebody because of the experiences and the different contexts in which we've been asked that. Like maybe somebody's been frustrated with you at a drive-through line and they're like, where are you from? That's different, and it's kind of a trigger for some people. So I'm trying to be more intentional about how I respond to people.
I think my mother is white and very visibly white, and when we lived in the U.S., she's like a blonde, green-eyed, light-skinned lady, and she has a discernible German accent when she speaks English. So I know the different kind of where are you from question. Like I know what it sounds like when it's directed at me, and I know what it sounds like when it's directed at her. And I know what it sounds like when it's directed at the both of us because I kind of like, people assume, that I'm under her wing, and so they put me in with her, and then I get a different type of treatment. And so I, honestly, I think there's a little something that is almost too flighty or too like not material enough to grasp that makes a difference in how this question is asked. I mean, it's when my mother is asked, where are y'all from or where are you from? and she says, I'm from Germany, and they're like, oh, I have an aunt. She lives in Cologne. Do you know her? You know, and it's and it's you know, it's about making a connection. Like it's about making mapping. It's about making a network visible, kind of. But when they ask me, then it's to make difference visible, you know, to set themselves apart. And I think those are like the two different ways of asking that question. It's the same question, but.
I think. Oh, I was gonna add something.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was
Go
gonna
ahead,
add
EJ.
something quick. I think also it's about oftentimes. How do I explain this? So I went to Georgetown for college. I went to Georgetown University, and there are often people who, you know, believe themselves to not be racist, but there are different kinds of racism. So they'll go study abroad in Ghana, they'll go study abroad in South Africa, what have you. And it's when they ask you or they interact with you after having had that experience, they cheapen your identity to an experience of their own, right? So after they meet you and they go, even if they meet you, right? So say, for instance, they went to study abroad in Nigeria and they meet me and I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm Nigerian and my family's from Nigeria, everything. They'll be like, oh, well, I just went to Nigeria. I'm like, that's not the same thing. Or oh, I just married a Nigerian. That's not the same thing. Like, that doesn't make you one of us. God bless you. Like, maybe culturally, or like, you know, you've had an experience, so you may know a little bit more about the history or the culture of the people, but it reduces the where are you from question sometimes reduces you to something that they can consume. So like, or your identity is for their consumption. So they went to whatever country and their consumption of that culture in some way is more important than your actual lived experience as a person who's like that's their heritage, right? So it's they're not asking you where they're from, where you're from, so that they can get to understand you. They're asking you where you're from so they can tell another person, oh, I'm just like a Nigerian, or I get Nigeria because I met this one other girl one time and she's Nigerian. It doesn't really.
And to be honest, and I want to get on Nina in because I know that she came in and she didn't get a chance to speak, but it almost actually sounds like it's a shortcut for people. Like there's something about you they don't understand, and they're asking where are you from, and when you tell them, it's like, okay, now this mysterious person, like this person who I don't have a grasp on, I can now align them with these whatever ideologies that they have, whatever response that you give. It's like, okay, now I get it. Like the mystery is gone. So that's really interesting. On Nina, I think, can you respond? Are you here? How do you respond when people ask where you're from?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sorry about the feedback. I guess I just I struggle with it because not only am I like, you know, in diaspora, but also within the context of the United States. I've grown up in a lot of different places, so it's kind of like which city do I pick? Like which is the most like pertinent to whoever's asking the question, you know? Because it's kind of like what you're saying. They're looking for something to connect with you. And so if I'm like, oh, I'm from Oregon, they're like, you know, if it's like somebody who is enthusiastic about nature or something like that, it's more enthralling for them to hear that instead of to hear that I'm from DC. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I definitely can relate that when I claim my Nigerianness or my nationality, people get a little bit more like irritating about it. They're like, oh yeah, like my cousin is from blah 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 blah, or my husband's coworker is from Kenya. Like something that's like not even at all. I'm like, that's cool. I've never been to Kenya, but great.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like
all of that was in the same place. What are you talking about?
It's like it just never ends. And obviously y'all can relate because that was, yeah, I'm sure you've experienced that before. So yeah, I guess it really just depends on who's asking the question.
Right.
It's also about ownership too. Just want to say that. Sorry. It's about like ownership. They're like, they want to, so you have something they don't have, and so they're like, oh, I have it too, and I'm like, no, you don't. I'm like, no, you don't. You don't have it. Thank girl.
Right.
Sorry, I feel like the teacher in a class that's trying to have fun, and I'm like, oh, next question. But I did want to get this question because I think it's important, especially for this young man who has an interesting experience with this question. So the question is, how does one's nationality shape who they are as a person? And I'm going to ask Vincent to kind of take the lead on this one, and I'm sure he'll explain. But yeah, that's the question. How does one nationality shape who they are as a person?
I I think nationality it's something which people always mix it up with the idea of a state. A state and a nation are two different things. Now, a nation is a nation of people, and a state is a that word is coming together of nations. Simple English. Let me not call that word again. But
Conglomeration.
thank you very much. What she just said. But it's always confusing when somebody tries to put you in in a state when they are trying to put you in a nation, and that's why technically when somebody always nationality defines you as the people around you, the environment you grew up, where your own parents came from. That's equally your nation. You understand? And because to me, my nation kind of is defined by Cameroon and Nigeria. I'm Nigerian. My both parents are Igbos. I was birthed in Cameroon. I was born in Cameroon. I grew up in Cameroon. I went to school in Cameroon, and I do so many things like a Cameroonian. I speak languages that Cameroonians speak, though I do speak the Nigerian languages. So it's those things define me as a person right now. If you do ask me where are you from, I always start by saying I'm Nigerian. Then I always say, oh, it's complicated. I am Cameroonian equally. But then you are like, oh, what are you? Are you sure you're Cambodian? Are you? Then I'm like, you know what? I was like this. I was like this. And equally it's the same. The first question you asked, and it was about when you are asked those questions, it kind of make you to start, judging your own, background. They kind of make you to start, you want to put yourself in a box that is explainable. And I would totally go with what Ijoma and the other ladies have been saying. It's the fact that most of the time they're not asking you that question because they really want to know, or they really want to ask you the next question, like, oh, you are from Nigeria, so what part of Nigeria are you from, or where is Nigeria located? It's what part of is Nigeria close to? They always just go back to what they know. It's like, oh, you're from Nigeria. I have a professor who was from Ethiopia. Do you know my professor from Ethiopia? I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, are you serious? Now, I don't think I'm professor from Ethiopia. I'm from it's thousands of miles away from each other. But I think nationality is, and it's always important sometimes when they ask me what nation are you from, I always say I'm from the Igbo land. And somebody gets confused. I'm like, yeah, I'm actually from the Igbo land. And if I want to put a stretch on it, I'll say I'm a Bakwarian because I was born in a Bakwarian land in Cameroon. So I think that's to me that's nation. Nation is always different from a state, and equally from what they call a nation state. So those are different concepts, and I'm sure Ijoma understands this very well since she's from that political science, public administration realm. So
I didn't study political science.
I know you study public administration and public health.
No, I've studied health and health policy. I didn't study politics. Nothing. I just worked.
Nothing. You're just working in it.
So I think I'll ask the question.
I understand what you're saying.
I think I'll ask the question directly to everybody that's participating, so that you can answer it from more of a personal. What does it mean to you? So I guess what does your nationality, whatever nationality that you currently want to identify with, what does that mean to you, or how does that shape you as a person? When somebody asks you where you're from, if you do offer a nationality, what does that mean to you? Does that make sense?
Gila, you could if you interviewed me for the last job I had, I would not have that
job. But yeah, how does it shape you as a person?
How does what?
How does your nationality shape you? I'm sorry, this feedback. How does your nationality shape you as a person? Like, what is your understanding of your nationality, um, and how it defines you? I guess, if you even think it does.
Well, for me, I never really wore the Africa label until I came here. I was mostly consider myself Zambian, as most of us who were born in on the continent would probably say. So that identity didn't come until the Pan African identity didn't come until I moved here, and I wanted kind of to connect with more Africans because there's not a huge Zambian population in the South. But we kind of like we're doing now, and I don't remember the direct quote, but in Americana, how she described how they would sit and joke and kind of had these shared frustrations that they would laugh about being away from the continent and the continent itself. So yeah, so when I do say Zambia, I don't say Zambia, Africa, of course. Usually people know where it is. So I'm trying to imply that I'm from the continent. And as far as Zambia, it's I don't really think I can articulate what I mean by that to anyone who isn't Zambian, I guess, because it's kind of a personal experience, and I don't even think other Zambians have the same experience I do. So I don't really think I can explain that to them. It's just I guess I'm just reflecting back on where I feel most at home. And I don't really expect anyone to understand that. A lot of my career right now is really informed by the time that I spent there, even though I haven't been based there in a while. So I'm referring to that. I'm referring to the place that made me a feminist. That's where I decided I wanted to advocate for gender rights. That's where I witnessed women working really hard for their communities and building themselves in a way that I didn't really see here as a collective, because we're so sparse, and I don't think diasporan, I don't know. I don't think there's as much ownership for a place abroad as you have for your own house, for your own home. So even when we're here, we're still like investing back home. We're still networking with other Africans, because that's where I would say, well, my primary investments are. I don't know if that made any sense. So it's basically, I'm not trying to communicate anything to anyone. It's just something I understand, but I definitely use my Zambia card to network with other young Africans.
Right. No, it actually made perfect sense, and I just want to thank everyone that's currently watching us live. We actually have a few comments from people that are watching us. So Alpha, who's watching, said, in reference to the first question that we were discussing, he said where you're from depends on who his response depends on who he's with and who's asking the question and the manner in which it's asked. So we definitely kind of explored that. Also, Nancy, who's watching us live, said where you are isn't always an attack or laced with hidden agendas, and she said that we've kind of lost that bit in the combo. So I think somebody actually, I'm not sure if it was Leonie, but someone alluded to that it's not always an attack, and sometimes it's authentic and it's a genuine question. But we also did kind of talk about how sometimes we feel like it might be an attack on us. So just wanted to share those live comments. Did anyone else have a response to the question about how nationality shaped you? And thank you for sharing that, my Lily. I when you were talking, I was smiling because everything you're saying, I have a similar experience. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I also really liked, I don't know, I will take the word, and please take it away from me if I'm talking too much, someone else. I really liked what Malele said, very beautifully said. I think for me, space is also kind of a complex thing, because it's not just geographic space, but also emotional space. I think this is what you were alluding to with becoming a feminist there and stuff. And because if I go to Ghana, I'm Ogoni, I'm not accepted I'm going to be questioned and, you know, prodded. And when I'm in Germany, I'm not accepted. In the United States, I can blend in pretty well because I don't get asked too much. Like, I'm not pushed out too hard there for some reason, even though that's like the place that I'm most foreign to of all those places. But so I feel like there's like a third space, and that to me kind of embodies the diaspora. And it's like a suspended space. It's like it's a space above geography, and it's a place where you can willingly be part of. So it's not one that you're born into or that you I mean, I guess to a degree you're born into it. I mean, if you're a white person, you're like, I'm of the African diaspora. That's bullshit. But yeah, so I think in this suspended space, you know, it's a place where you can find a home if you don't have a home somewhere else. If you're going to be kind of if your existence is negated everywhere, then at least in the kind of suspended diasporic space, then there's a possibility to have a home.
And I mean, what you're saying, and please forgive me if I am butchering what I think that you're saying, is like, but I think in a lot of these identity conversations that go on, there's not space at all for nuances, and people are very like black and white. Like, and if you don't fit within that, they're not willing to take the time or energy to understand where you're coming from or like your understanding of identity. So I kind of see that in a lot of conversations about identity, and that's why it's so, for me, it's confusing, and it's like you have to be really careful from my perspective when I talk about identity, because I just find that people are very dry about it, and I feel like I'm not articulating it well, and I'm sorry, for some reason my words are not working today, but there's just not a lot of space. And I thought it was really interesting when you said that the diaspora is an identity that people willingly enter. I've just never heard that before, so that was interesting. Did anybody else want to kind of share their thoughts on how nationality has shaped them as a person, or at least their understanding of nationality?
I'm sorry, I think I cut out before. Can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. How do I explain this? I think my idea of nationality has shaped the way I live, what my values are, how I relate to my family. I think there's only so much that assimilation can really change about you. I noticed just growing up in the past, growing up here in America, and even the past couple years of my young adulthood, that I'm basically my mom if she spoke American English perfectly. Like, there's a lot of things you can't really, like, you can't change, and you wouldn't want to change if you could, and that you wouldn't need to change about yourself. That, like, it allows you to keep that sense of nationality. It allows you to keep that Nigerianness. So I think a lot of people think that, you know, if you say, for instance, I'm just saying because I'm Nigerian, if you're a Nigerian, you're supposed to act a certain way and speak a certain way, but really, especially when it comes to like your ethnic group and that the experiences of that ethnic group, like we know each other when we meet each other. Like I've had experiences where I'll meet somebody from my country, but they'll know I'm actually Igbo because of the way, I don't know, the way I spoke to them or the way I treated them or how I thought about a situation. There are all these intangible things that make you who you are, and I think that's how my nationality, whatever, it's the answer to whatever question you just asked. I don't know if I answered it, but that's how I felt, and that's what I said.
You better say that, EJ. You better say it.
Yeah, I don't know if that made sense, but
no, it does. It did make sense. Okay, and then just honestly, out of respect for everybody's time, This last question is actually going to wrap it up. Seems really short, and sorry for that. But and we have people in Berlin, we have people all over that need to get to bed soon. So in closing, I just want to ask, and might be a little bit of a loaded question or unfair, but just answer to the best of your ability. But is it more important where you were born, where your childhood lies, or where you grow into adulthood? So let's not ask it in a general sense. Maybe for you personally, what do you think was most important? Where you were born, where your childhood kind of transpired, or the location that you spent growing into your adulthood? So we're just gonna go ahead. Vincent, are you still with us?
Yep.
You mind taking a crack at that one?
Okay. That's a difficult question because I I was born in Cameroon, as I said before, and you hear me say that a lot. But I grew up Nigerian because if you go, okay, by the way, I always do that. I promote my page on Ezibota every time I come up here, so I would not forget. Now, if you go on ezibota.com, you put /Modestus. Modestus is spelled
Oh my God,
M
Vincent.
O D E S T U S.
Promote,
You
Vincent,
see,
promote. Yes.
yeah, promote, man. I'm not joking. You'll see me. Okay, now if you don't want to go and look at what I'm writing, just go there. I have my really nice clothes I put on. That clothes is my Christmas clothes, and I put it on for you guys. So if there's anything you want to see, just go and look at my clothes and put them on. It was imported from Nigeria. Okay, but anyway, that's all a joke. But 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 yeah, like what I said on that particular page, I said something about when I leave the house in the morning, my dad reminds me that I'm Nigerian. But it's the moment I walked out on the street by the age of 3 or 4 when I started going to school, I have to actually be Cameroonian in everything I do. So that means I have to behave like them, talk like them, do everything like them. So I'm kind of in a limbo because up to the age of 20, when I was done with college in the University of Boya in Cameroon, I was still doing Cameroonian stuff. So, I mean, I acted in plays that were Cameroonian, and then when they had a play that was Nigerian, the first person they would pick out to come and act that play would be me. They'll be like, oh, you the Igbo boy, come here, you're Nigerian. We have a lead, come here. You won't believe that a director went to go and look for, a particular play called, it's a Wole Soyinka play, The Trials of Brother Jero,
Yeah.
just because I was in that particular troupe. He just had to go and look for that thing because there was one Igbo man or Nigerian who could actually act this role for him. So you get confused in all of those things, and then you come to the United States and then you realize that, I have to start trying to talk slowly because people need to understand me. So, but there's always something that comes out of me which is Cameroonian, whatever way I go, whatever way I shift. There's a lot of Nigerian about me, but there's too much Cameroonian to be comfortable because I could actually at this moment just switch to French, switch to Pidgin, the Cameroonian Pidgin, switch to many other things which I learned from Cameroon. So as many of my sisters here und meine Schwester in Deutschland, that is Leonie, I'm sure she speaks German.
Wow, your German's good.
Thank you. But I mean, I'm sure everybody will relate to that part of trying to mix up. No, you have so much that you have to kind of, sometimes calm yourself down, tell yourself to calm down, or else, you get everybody around you confused. So I would finally just go with where I grew. I grew up in Cameroon, and a lot of it's Cameroonian. So.
Thanks. Onini, are you still with us?
Onini?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, where'd the other one go?
Yeah, I was
sick.
okay.
Oh, we miss you. Okay, so what was your question?
Just
home
what's?
Sorry.
What? No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I guess I was thinking about it while Vincent was answering. And I think for me personally, it would probably be where I was born versus the other two options. Just because, like I said earlier, I've kind of moved around too frequently to really feel like rooted in any one place. But at the same time, I also feel like my birthplace not only contains like my history and present, but also like is the juncture where like my past and my parents' past sort of meets, you know. So for me, it gives me more of a connection in terms of like family and all of that. So yeah, I guess that's how I would answer that.
Hmm. Okay. Leonie?
Well, I spent just 1 year living in Turkey when I was tiny, when I was just a year old, and it ended up so that Turkish was actually the first language I spoke, just because of the coincidence of where I was, and I don't speak Turkish anymore. I forgot it, unfortunately, but it's still like it still has like a place in my heart. I don't know, this time, this experience, it was a really happy time for me, and and then I lived in Germany, and I lived there until I was 12. And you know, I did a lot of kind of growing up, like literal growing up. I didn't grow too much after I was 12. um, and then I moved to Texas, and in Texas, I don't know, I feel very at home. I'm really homesick to Texas as well. And I didn't grow up in Ghana, but I also have kind of a home feeling there. So I think it's just kind of something that happens parallel. And with language, I don't speak Tree, my father's language. I speak German and I speak English, and English and German are very much kind of the same for me. Like, I think for me, the perfect language to speak to somebody with is like both. So with my sister or my brother, I can communicate really well because I can say like the German or the English word at the time that it comes up in my head. Um, so like through language, I have this feeling of closeness as well, and of homeness. So to me, it really, I think all of these places are home, but I think what makes up so much of my identity is being Ghanaian without having lived there ever or being born there. But it's so much part of everything I do. Like it's so much part of everything I say and how I look and how people perceive me and my place in the world. And yeah, so I think it's all of those places.
Hmm. Malile?
Yeah, Malele.
Malele, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. I think I kind of touched on mine a little. It's where I grew up, Zambia. Mostly because when I came here, it was a pretty. I had a really good childhood in both places, and but it was really heavy here, and it just didn't feel like a place that celebrated me. Um, and not that I felt like immensely celebrated in Zambia, but I just didn't have to ask myself that question, like whether or not my country would, took me in, and so I spent like a decade of having a decade of nostalgia because of that, over a decade of nostalgia because of that, and having trying to preserve what people were, kind of undervaluing. I grew up in a public school system in the States after I moved here, and there'd be a lot of the whole African beauty standard and using African as a punchline where I sincerely at first didn't get it. Then it moved on to some kind of sarcasm as in, yeah, I am African. Like,
Right.
that's great observation, even though I told you that already, so it's great memory. Okay. So it became this kind of defense mechanism to always hold on to that. And mostly because of my parents, again, I said, watching them having to perform in order to kind of make it through to change their accents when they're speaking, when no one in Zambia who comes from Britain changes their accent. We just kind of deal with the fact that people outside of our country exist. So there was a lot of patriotism that I built up in myself. I don't know if it was necessary, but and I would always use my childhood as a point of reference for why I was doing this, because the place seemed worth it to defend for me, Um, and right now I'm no longer in the mood to prove anything to anyone. I don't owe anyone an explanation about where I'm from. So I'm kind of over that, over trying to get other people to get my narrative right, and just being like, I'm gonna tell it if you accept it. If you don't, you know. And this may be all over the place, but it's just kind of where I am now, like giving you guys a sense of where I am now. So it's my childhood, but I'm also kind of, I think, in a different phase of my life where I'm not at the front lines of the Zambian diaspora trying to come at me, bro, you know, so grow.
It's really awesome.
Yeah, you grow out of too many negative influences, or letting the negative energy be the driving force for your identity back home.
Thank you. EJ?
What was the question? Because I kept having to re-sign in.
Yeah, sure. So the question is it more important where you were born, where your childhood lies, or where you grow into adulthood?
Where your childhood lies, I think where is a interesting word in that kind of list of things, because my childhood resides in Piscataway, New Jersey. I'm from New Jersey. I grew up in New Jersey, but I was born in Augusta, Georgia. I only stayed there for 1 year. And also, where is my parents' home? So I was in a specific place, in a specific town, in a specific state, in a specific country. So I think that had a lot to do with it. Had I been in a home with parents who didn't want to teach me about myself, that would have been a completely different environment. So I think with the inclusion of that word "where" in that set of options, where can be a lot of different places, right? Like my parents were just as influential as, you know, the community I grew up in, and my extended family who constantly came to visit, and I was always around them. So I think it's where your childhood, like where your childhood happened, and where is your home, your family, your physical, social, political environments. The collection of those.
Thank you for that. So just to once again, to respect everybody's time, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thanks everybody that joined us during our Twitter chat with the hashtag EziChat. If you have any suggestions on how to improve this community chat, which is a portion Twitter chat, which is a portion live video, feel free to email us at info@ezibota.com. Look out for more information about next month's chat on ezibota.com/chat. And before I was talking about like a special announcement, a special thing that we'll be doing next month. So I'll go ahead and disclose it. Next.
And you froze.
She didn't freeze. She probably waiting to see if we were actually anticipating the announcement. When we give her enough.
No,
she did it on purpose.
Can you hear me now?
Come back. Because we're at the edge of our seats.
Am I good? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. You first
like. I'm sorry. Listen, because I'm excited about this because I know I'm going to win. Vincent has been talking some trash, so we're going to have a cooking competition. The logistics will be shared on ezibota.com, so keep your ears to the streets. But we'll allow for our networks to vote on the best looking dish, and then people, during our chat, we're going to talk about the preparation process, what food means to you, why you decided to cook that dish, and then at the end of the chat, we'll announce the winner, and the winner will get a present. Except for if it's me,
or when it's me.
No, so you
How
have
you
to
know
cook
it's not my mama?
You can't purchase because we will know. You can't purchase anything. Family can't cook it. You have to cook it. So hold on for the logistics. And yeah, so that's what's coming up. Since our theme for our quarter is actually food around the world, we're kind of digging deeper into the whole question or the whole statement. You are what you eat. So if you want to check out the publications around our theme, you can go to ezibota.com/publications. So that's the announcement. Really excited. So not everyone's going to be able to participate because some people are trash cooks. but we will have a careful
You know
selection
what?
about who all can be involved in that. Yes, I'm sorry. So we always do this. Is anybody? We just want to see what everyone's closing words are going to be. Thanks to everybody that's watching us live, by the way, and still with us. We went a little bit over time. So we'll just go ahead and start with Onyinye. Do you have any closing words in regards to our conversation or our community overall?
No. No, I don't.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry, I just couldn't think of anything.
No, you're completely fine. You're completely fine. Alile?
Oh no, I think I've said enough.
Okay. Leonie?
Thank you. I really appreciate it. This is really good. It was surprising. It was really good. Thank you.
We're happy that we
Was this your
pleasantly
first
surprised
time?
you.
Oh, sorry. Was this your first time, Leonie? Sorry to
Oh,
interrupt.
yes.
No, you're fine. Okay. Will you be joining us again?
Nah, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, I'd really like to. If you'll have me.
Great. EJ?
I usually have something profound to say, and I don't this time. I think I've said enough, and I usually talk too much, so I've worked on that, came back, started shutting up more. But it's great to meet all of you and see you guys again and be a part of the chat again. I really enjoy these kinds of conversations. They're just super smart and productive and relaxing. So thank you.
No, thank you. And once again, I'm sorry that I froze. Someone just let me know via phone that I froze. So I'm sorry that I froze. Sorry about that. Vincent?
Yes, so my people, how would I do now? Let me close it up. See, I have to talk as if I'm sick. There are 6 guys in this. There's enough women here, so I have to represent men. So that's why I'm doing all of this. And plus, see, I promise you, I've done so many chats, I can't even remember. I'm sure this is my subconscious sitting here and doing this because it's so many chats. But it's always great to meet new people. It was really nice meeting you, Malele, if I call it well. Leonie, wonderful to meet you too. Onyinye, you owe me animations. I keep saying it because I know we can make money together. But you're running. Oh yeah, Ijoma, this senator should not kill you. This senator should not kill you. Tell him to at least let you come to chat. Okay, that was my man. But it was great meeting you girls, man.
We had fun with you too, Vincent.
Thank you for that. And just in closing, we're currently in a phase where we're. So I said, did I freeze again? I'm sorry. So we're currently in a phase where Ezibota is intentionally looking to expand. So we have a referral competition that's currently going on. We were going to announce the winner during today's chat, but it has been requested of us to extend the competition. So we will be extending it. So to everyone that knows, if you want to refer somebody to Ezibota and get credit for referring them, it's ezibota.com/refer. And I just want to thank all of our video participants. This has been a great conversation. And that concludes our community chat.